Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the July 8th meeting for Arizona Flight Training Work Group. I'm your host, Brian Baker. I'll be conducting this meeting as I've done the rest of the previous meetings this year. So some first order of business is that we are recording this, and it will be posted to our AFTW YouTube channel, which you'll see in the minutes. And let me share my screen. Forgot to do that. Could you share the screen? Okay, so which is actually item number 7 under the housekeeping items. So this, as I said, it is recorded and will be up on our YouTube channel in a day or two, which you can also access it through the AFTW website also. But we want to make sure that you also subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're anticipating putting some things on there that are not specifically meeting recordings. So subscribe to that and look for more stuff coming out on our YouTube channel. We'd like to first off welcome our new attendees. So if this is your first time to an AFTW group meeting, go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself and say where you're from and just a sentence or two about yourself. So um, go ahead, anybody that would like to. We're all veterans here. No newbies.
Yeah, this is my first meeting. I'm the chief at Fly Eagle in Glendale, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tyler Sepp. He's the owner.
Okay. Thanks, Roger. Welcome to the meeting, and we hope to see you going forward. So that's great. Anyone else?
I'm Stan Karch, and I don't know if I've been here before, or if I have, it was a long time ago.
Great, Stan. And where do you hail from?
I'm in Tucson. I'm based at Ryan.
Oh, okay. So am I. Fellow Ryan resident.
Awesome.
Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Okay. So welcome to the new attendees. We appreciate it. Do not have any side conversations in the chat. It's number one, it's distracting, and number two, the chat is also recorded as part of this. So like to keep it about the topics at hand, or any questions that you might have. So that's one of the other housekeeping items. You do get wings credit for this. And if you are logged into your Zoom meeting with the same email address that you use for Wings, then that will automatically get credited to your Wings account. If your Wings account is a different email address than you used to log in to this meeting, throw your Wings email address into the chat, and then that way we can reconcile it so that you get the Wings credit for it. So just so everyone's clear on that, if you did not log into Zoom with your Wings account, put your Wings account email address into the chat, and that way you can get Wings credit for it. One of the things that we do periodically is we put out more timely information on our Facebook page, which is the AFTW Facebook page, Facebook group. If you're not a member in that group, I suggest that you become a member in it. There's oftentimes there's information in there about things that might be going on in the airspace that we need to make people aware of. I've been using it lately to let some people know. We've had some aerial photo missions that were really close to the stack, or right over in one case, Casa Grande Airport. So I use that. I don't know how many people that were on the group that was relevant to, but we still put it out there because it's just one other channel to let people know a little bit about what was going on. And particularly with those two areas, the Stansfield Stack and Casa Grande Airport, we felt it was as many people as could know about it, the better. Plus, we were on frequency the whole time too, giving our position updates as well. But things like that we use the Facebook group for. Next is the website. There's often a lot of actually good information on the website. So we have all of the FAA safety team topics of the month located there under topic of the month. And so if you go to our website, you can see all of the different things that we have on there. Make sure I'm sharing. Am I still sharing the same screen, Jim? Did it go to
Yeah,
the
it looks good.
AFTW? Okay, great. And so we can go to the topic of the month, or we can go to the homepage. And in the homepage, we've got the meeting minutes and videos. We also have the chart overlays for the Phoenix terminal area, which look like this. And so that you can actually bring those into your Garmin Pilot or your ForeFlight app to see the various reporting points that we have in the different practice areas, the practice area outlines, practice area frequencies, aerobatic boxes are highlighted. The Stansfield Stack is located down here. So we've got a lot of good information related to training in the area. We've got some stuff down here for the Tucson practice areas and reporting points, and even over at Safford, and then of course up at Prescott, which we'll talk a little bit more about shortly. So this is all good stuff on the AFTW website. So make sure you check it out on a regular basis. Currently, the current AFTW overlay for Garmin Pilot and ForeFlight is from November of 24. So it's about 8 months old now. But that is still the current one. There haven't been any updates to that yet. There will be as soon as we get some new practice area frequencies, whenever that happens. If you see something that you would like to have added to the overlay, email us at the Contact Us tab on the website and put that in, and we'll take that request under consideration. So,
And Brian, Carey,
yeah, Carrie.
as you were scrolling through the AFTW overlays, one of the things that came up was the Luke Ox ILS, and that has not been available for almost, well, I know over a year, maybe almost 2 years now, because copper bandits keep stealing the software and hardware equipment out there. So
Yeah.
I wonder if we can put a disclaimer on that this approach has been suspended until Luke can get security out there and get it reestablished.
Yeah, I can add a note on that.
Yeah. Good point. Thanks, Carrie.
They're supposedly there's a lot of pressure on the base to bring it back for the training of the F-35s, but they have to solve the security issue so it doesn't keep getting ripped off and
Something tells me they just
wasting
need to say that this
wasting
area
our
is
money.
patrolled by F-35s with armed missiles, and we should get.
That's what they need to do.
Yeah. Okay. So that goes over kind of all of the housekeeping items that we have here. Our next item is upcoming local events, and there's no ASAG meeting in July because of AirVenture. So the next ASAG meeting will be a one-time shift to the fourth Wednesday, August 27th at 1200 Arizona time. So that's an update from Carrie on that. And then a reminder that we are in the planning stages still for the August CFI safety training event that Brent has volunteered to kind of spearhead, and I've asked other people to help with, and I'm volunteering what I can do to help also. Brent, is there anything you'd like to update on that? I know you sent me an email, but I didn't have time to get it into the agenda. So if you would go ahead and update
Yeah,
us
no
on
worries.
what you're thinking
So
there.
we're labeling it the Aviation Safety Summit. It'll be hosted here at CAE. It's for all aviation safety officers from large flight schools around the valley or even small flight schools. If you have a safety officer from your site that wants to come, and what we're going to be doing is like some cross training and like sharing case studies, sharing tools, ideas, and how we manage risk. So if that's interesting to you, your flight school, you're welcome to attend. I will be sending out a SPANS message about it, but the tentative date at this point is September 19th, which is a Friday. It'll be from 9 in the morning to about 4 in the afternoon. CAE will provide lunch to the attendees, but you need to pre-register to the SPANS notice that will be going out probably in the next month or so.
And you said 9 to 4?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you need help with, Brent?
Primarily, I just need help getting the word out. So I just sent out a tentative Outlook calendar invite to, I think, the core people that I have on my um, Rolodex. But if you could help spread the word to all the safety officers at the different schools. Jim, we used to have a contact list of all the flight schools, and I don't know how. I think mine is like that I have saved on my computer is like 4 or 5 years out of date. So I don't know if we have a contact list for each of the flight schools, or if you are a safety officer at a flight school and you're on this call or listening to the recording, if you could please email brent.crow@cae.com and let me know you want to attend, and we'll get you added to the invite and keep you in touch. But yeah, I will go through this, point a contact list here that you see on screen, and send a invitation out to anybody who's on here.
It's been many years since we updated any kind of an AFTW email list. What's on the screen now is really our only list, which is one of the things I wanted to talk about today and see if we can fill in the blanks. But that sounds good. Great. Thank you, Brent, for doing that. I'm just not sure you're old
Hey,
enough to
Jim.
refer to a Rolodex.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim.
Go ahead.
Jim.
Yeah,
Hey,
who is
attorney.
this?
We have a current list. We'll email that list to you to Brent.
That'd be great.
Tomorrow or so.
Awesome. Thank you, Ernie. Thanks for phoning in. You're obviously out on the road. Appreciate you.
Hey, Brent, Carrie, do we have a space available limit?
The classroom that I have booked out over here holds about 34 people. So, and like I said, I'm trying to make sure we get all the core schools from Phoenix metro area, and then obviously would love to have others come in, but I like if every school could just send 1 or 2 people and not 10 people per school. We'd be overcrowded pretty quick. So the idea is the school send a person or two, and then those people take it back to their school, share any lessons learned, that kind of thing. So we can save on space. But if there is another place that would love to host, has more space availability, that'd be great too. I'm happy to shift the location.
Okay. Yeah, if someone's got a bigger space, can do, 50 or 60 people, that would be great. Any consideration to recording or live streaming this, Brent?
Yeah, there's the possibility of doing that. We'll try and do that because that will help with those who want to attend but maybe are too far away and unable. So I will do the setup to get IT infrastructure so that we can make that happen. And we do have the ability in our facility. We could increase the size if we do have a huge number that want to be a part of this event. I can increase the space up to 90 attendees, but that just depends on the impact that's going to have on our classroom schedule for the day. So I got to get with our ground schools as we get closer to the day to figure out if we're going to have any impacts there. But I could, in theory, upgrade our size of the classroom to around 85 or 90 attendees.
Okay. All right. Well, if you need any help with setup, I know you got a team there, but if you need any help with any setup or local logistics, parking, I don't know what, let us know, and I'm sure that we can wrangle up some volunteers to help with the event on that day.
Yeah, I'll have some planning meetings on the calendar with the larger schools, so we'll get this started to get put together. I was trying to get one in June, and June just kind of blew away from me because we had um, I think I was out on vacation for a few days, but I also got sent across the country on a business errand. So um, I only had like 2 weeks. I was in the office here in June, just couldn't cope with the extra workload. So we'll have a meeting here in the next couple weeks.
No worries, and that's the exact reason I would, like to know that if you need any help or anything, reach out and let us know. So that'd be great. All right, well that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that coming together. I like the date in September after Labor Day and um, things like that. So that works much better for me than the possible August. And then also that way we've got one more AFTW meeting the week before to kind of get additional word out or finalize logistics and that sort of thing. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
I strategically did that so we could help spread the word or talk about any last minute discussion items before the actual event.
okay. All right. One kind of ongoing event or multiple events is the annual runway safety meetings for 2025. This is from Carrie. We have 6 meetings left for Phoenix, Deer Valley, Falcon, Glendale, Goodyear, and Scottsdale. You can see the dates for those meetings located here on the screen. Highly advise if you are based at one of these airports to attend the meeting. There's a lot of good information. Ernie and Craig and the FAA people are there, tower people are there. And they're really good meetings to kind of know what's going on in the airport vicinity with construction plans for the future. The one that we had down here at Ryan, talking about things that they're doing with the infrastructure, the sewage system and construction that's going to be going on there. Things over at Tucson International. So they're really good meetings to attend. I recommend that if you can get to them, that you do. So there's the list of those.
And
Anything you'd
Brian,
like to add about
just real
that?
quick for anyone that might be attending or watching the recording on a tiny screen, the document Brian has up right now, for those of you here in this live meeting, it's the first link I put in the chat. And for anyone watching this recording on YouTube, it's down in the description of the video. You can just click that Google Doc link and have access to these minutes afterwards.
Excellent. Yep. Thanks, Jim. Anything you'd like to add to this particular event schedule, Carrie?
No, I think you hit the highlights that it's really important for particularly the pilots that are based there. Not only do we cover the things that you mentioned about, but they'll go through the pilot deviations, runway incursions and excursions, the hot spots and why they're there. So from a training standpoint or things that we want to emphasize, it's great information from an instructor point of view as well. So.
Yep. Yep, they are. They're really good.
So
And
a
that
question on that.
yes.
How do we actually register for those or attend them? What's the procedure there?
For a lot of them, we will, Samir Kanuga will be putting a spans together for those meetings, so they will be on fasafety.gov with the announcement. And if you are a tenant on the email list for the airport that you're at, usually the air traffic manager will be sending out an invitation to the meetings as well. So we're trying to make the meetings hybrid, so you don't have to be there in person. Some of them, that's the only way they're doing. I think like Alex, we just had the Gateway meeting, and it was only via webinar, so it was available for everybody. So watch your spans on fasafety.gov, and that's probably your best source for the meetings.
Excellent. I mentioned a little bit about the AFTW website updates. The current overlay is the one from November on the website. I brought up the chart here of the flight schools and the contact person at the various flight schools. If you are on this call and associated with one of these flight schools and do not have contact information, please get with the appropriate person that that is supposed to be contact here and fill that in. I think we had someone on from Fly Eagle, right? A new person on from Fly Eagle. If we can get, well, I guess if there's a contact name, we can put that in there. We do have an email address here and a phone number, so that's at least that's good. But some of these others, we don't have that information. I actually have Deer Valley Tower, and I have a couple of the other towers because we coordinate with. I have Gateway Tower because we have to coordinate with them on a fairly regular basis. So I'll fill some of those in. But again, if you're on a flight school here that's listed but doesn't have contact information, let's see if we can get that filled in. It's just going to help us because this will be used to help get the word out about the flight training safety day that we're going to be having, and possibly some other information. So,
Hey, Brian Carey,
yes,
for the towers for the airports that have from the flight deck videos. For the towered airports, they also have the handbook, and in the handbook is the tower phone numbers, so you can populate your spreadsheet there from those.
good point. Good point. Thanks. Another thing that we have here is part of getting the word out. We have a flyer, basically, as it were. And I'm just seeing if I had that tab pulled up, and I don't think I do.
Yeah, it's up there. It's the one that says AFTW brief.
Oh, thank you. Yep. Okay. So we have this pilot brief, and I've been printing this out and taking it around to some of the local flight schools. And this talks a little bit about what AFTW does, and then has some QR codes to link to the brief, the next meeting link, current overlay, Casa Grande, and Coolidge procedures. So it's just something that we can use to get the word out. Makes it really easy with QR codes to get to the various places on our website and be able to see some of the current information. So if Jim would drop the link to this in the chat, then you can bring it up and print it out yourself and take it to your local flight school or give it to a CFI that is near and dear to your heart, and increase our attendance and participation in the group. Appreciate that. That's all I had for website updates and upcoming local events. Is there any other local events or web information that we need to get out from anybody? Okay. Moving on to airports, this is a new item here that we're looking to see about putting on our website. This is from Carrie. Falcon has coded departure and arrival routes for the flight schools that are based there. I'm somewhat familiar with those because I see the flight school traffic going from Falcon down to Coolidge and Casa Grande using those routes. And actually, one of the routes goes right to the west side of Mesa Gateway. And we've had to deconflict with the traffic on those routes for a project that we did about a month ago. So um, I'm sure that we can get that information to Stacy and we can get it coded on our overlay, or just put in the procedures as a document onto the website so that people can download it and take a look. What do you think would be the better solution there, Carrie or Jim?
Probably the latter. Brent's got his hand up. While he's talking, if you don't mind, go to the homepage there, your next tab over, Brian, and go to practice areas at the top. If you just click that main menu, I think it'll go to the, yeah, if you just click the word practice areas, I think it'll go to the main page. And then scroll down to Gateway, and you can see what we have posted currently for Allegiant. It's down there a ways. So these are some charted procedures, just as an example of company procedures that have been shared with us so that we can put them out there. I imagine having something like that. I know United Aviate Academy has several, probably a half a dozen departures and a half a dozen arrivals that they have charted in Jeppesen format. I don't know if they'd be willing to share, if that would be useful. But Brent, what do you got?
Yeah, so we have for our LOA departure and arrival, I'm putting together a poster that we could just put up in lots of the crew briefing rooms or pilot lounges in different airports, so people will be more aware of where we're flying, where to expect us. As it is slightly different than our previous LOAs that we had. But I can get that poster to you. You can get that put up here. That'll explain the overview, like a top view of where our departure and arrivals go and the altitudes they're generally at. So if that helps, great. We do have the Jeppesen format for these arrival and departures as well. That kind of looks like a Jeppesen approach plate, but it's not, just a VFR procedure. But we may be able to put that up there as well. So I'll put that down as an action for me to get it to you.
All right. Thank you. This is a holdover from last week or last meeting, but there's still some relevant information. We still have some opposite direction approaches from a couple of schools that are being contacted at Coolidge, and not the schools at Coolidge, but opposite direction approaches at Coolidge by a couple of flight schools that are being contacted about it to try and mitigate that, because it's come up in several meetings, but it was most recently discussed at the last meeting where we do have opposite direction approaches coming into Coolidge and causing a serious safety risk at that airport. So is there anything that anybody would like to add to that?
Norm and Alex have their hands up. Go ahead, Norm.
Yeah, hey, just speaking for APS here, with the flow of traffic coming out of Falcon with the departure and recovery corridors, we've come across some issues or potential issues. And so we've had some really good conversations with CAE and stuff, but we're trying to make sure that we get the word out to everyone. We've coordinated with Tracon last year, Albuquerque Center, Gateway Traffic and stuff. And we've kind of rebuilt our areas a little bit so that our extra 300s operate a little bit higher because that volume of traffic coming out of Falcon's increasing. And so we just want to try to coordinate and get that airspace out there and potentially add it to the charts and have it modified a bit just so that people have a better idea of where we operate. And we've also put together a video. It's about 13 minutes long that kind of talks about there's a YouTube link for it that I could send. And it kind of talks about what we do, where we do it, and why we're kind of doing it that way, just so that it's not like a nebulous, there's a group of cowboys out there that you need to watch out for. No, we're actually out there trying to be safe as well. But our operations differ from what most of the people out there are doing. And so I'd like to try to provide that YouTube link as well, if you guys would be willing to add that onto that website.
Yeah, that'd be great. Norm, if you want to just email me directly, we can do your own little section there on that practice areas page.
Gary?
Yeah, for the back with those departure and arrival routes, I think they'd be beneficial to a lot of pilots that aren't participating in the flight schools for being able to see how to get in and out of a place like Falcon and through the Delta and Bravo windows that are available to, particularly if they're departing to the south, and then just also knowing where all that other flight school traffic is. So that's one of the reasons I was hoping we'd be able to get these published so that just more than flight schools would be able to see where all this traffic is. And if I remember, Greg Brown from Flagstaff was about a year ago was commenting about all the traffic that's out on the west side of or east side of Gateway. And I thought this would be a good way to make sure we get the word out to pilots that aren't just necessarily flight training pilots out there working. And then as far as opposite direction procedures and flying these things, this was one of the main reasons why Brent came up with the idea of our safety stand down, was to kind of coordinate all this information among the safety officers around the valley.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Thank you. Alex, you had your hand up earlier. Did you still need to?
Yes. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so I appreciate Stacy put something in there about the opposite approach procedures at Coolidge, and I think the Safety Summit would be a great place for all the schools, especially to get together to talk about consideration for additional standards of practice. But another thing I want to bring up is we're seeing opposite approaches also at Casa Grande with schools who, a lot of us are participating in the Stanfield stack procedures, which recommends strongly not to conduct opposite approach procedures. And so I just really want to reinforce all the schools here about, I respect that most of I have a feeling this is due to operational constraints, which from a business perspective, I can respect, but I'd really ask them to, I'm flying the stack regularly myself, and I'm sure Jim can speak up here too. The real dangers that come with this. And so I just really would like to reinforce all the flight organizations, especially in this group, that we follow the standard of practice set by the recommended procedures. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, we reiterated that last meeting also, and I think we highlight it or mention it probably every meeting, at least every meeting that I've been on. But there is another little portion down here that we've got to down towards the end where let's see, where do I have it?
Yeah, you're there. The
Right.
recommended procedures for approaches. Right there at the bottom of that page, number 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have this the recommended procedures. This is something a document that we're working with. But I think what we touched on last time was that some of the procedures for the stack weren't being followed correctly because there was some institutional knowledge loss in training new CFIs for procedures in a stack. And what we were doing was we wanted to make sure that people went to the original source document, which is right here, when training new instructors for use for operations in the stack. Don't rely on what the CFI before you taught you or told him or told her, 2 CFI generations ago. Go to the original source document and review those procedures and make sure those procedures are being followed. As we said in the last meeting, it appears that some deviation to these procedures are happening, and we think that it could be due to some generational knowledge gaps. So just wanted to kind of reinforce that. And that, I think that goes to what Alex is speaking of also. So make sure that you do that, go through that original source document if you're going to be operating in the stack.
Thank you for emphasizing that, Brian, re-emphasizing it. And that pilot brief that you showed earlier, one of those QR codes goes directly to that source document that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So easy
Yeah.
shortcut. And we made this as a PDF so you guys can download it into ForeFlight or whatever you're using on your mobile device. Make it easy to share, easy to click on those links.
Right. Okay. And this is also from Kerry, that Prescott has procedures for the practice area around the airport. And he attached the brochure describing that, and we'll get that posted to that same area on the website for various procedures. So if you fly up around Prescott, you'll know that that's extremely busy airspace also, with all the Embry-Riddle and of course local and transient traffic up there as well. Thanks for getting that together, Kerry. We'll get that posted on the website. Grand Canyon Airport's got some construction that's going on July 14th through August 11th. That is phase 2. There's another phase. I'm sorry, it's phase 1. There is a phase 2 that's happening after that. I didn't bother to put that in. Just refer to the NOTAM. If you're going to go to Grand Canyon Airport, just look at the NOTAM to see what the dates for the runway closures are. So the runway closures are going to affect everything but rotor wing aircraft that are departing and landing on the ramp. And one of the things that came about recently is a change at Ryan, so that Ryan will not allow you to do an ILS approach for 6 right when runway 24 is in use. Now, Tucson approach will let you do it, but when they hand you off to the Ryan Tower, Ryan's going to have you circle to land if you're actually doing a landing there, and they're going to have you pull off before you hit the delta, which means that approach won't count because you're not going to be able to take it down to the decision altitude on that approach. So if you're thinking about going and doing the ILS 6 right at Ryan, check the weather first and check the ATIS first, so that you know that they're actually still on 6 right, because usually Ryan changes to 2-4 in the afternoon. And if you come down around lunchtime or afterwards and they're on 2-4 and you're looking for a practice 6 right approach, Tucson approach will give it to you, but then you'll be waved off of it before you get to the delta. So this actually was some information that came about from one of the runway meetings, runway safety airport meetings that we were talking about a little bit earlier. So another good reason to attend those meetings. Anything else regarding any airports, construction, problems, related to anything that you're aware of, runway closures? I don't know, there's usually something going on at one of the airports this time of year.
Could I comment? I don't know how to raise my hand.
Okay.
on that
Sure,
on that Ryan circling, I think that also applies to the RNAV approach to 6 right.
It does. Yes, correct. And so if any runway other than 6 right is in use, then they will wave you off before you get to the Delta. So, yep. Thanks, Stan. Jim, have you noticed is Oscar on?
Carlos is his first name.
Carlos, sorry.
He has not texted me yet, so we can keep going. But first, one of my favorite rules to live by is that anytime you want to put something on the to-do list, it's always better to put it on the to-done list. So with that in mind, just a shout out to Alex, who's here in our live meeting from UAA. He already got a hold of his chief and got permission that we can share the United Aviate and get them procedures and get them posted on the website. If you want to open your email, Brian, I just forwarded them to you. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 PDFs. Later this week, I'm hoping to have time. I'll get those posted on the AFTW website. And this is not saying that other schools need to follow these procedures or other pilots or instructors. It's really just for awareness of what United Aviate is doing with their arrivals and departures related to Goodyear. So thank you, Alex, for getting on that so quick and getting a quick answer. Appreciate it. If you want to keep going, Brian, we can come back to the Amazon thing. Hopefully, Carlos still makes it.
Kerry had his hand up.
Yeah, if you go into page, the runway numbers have changed. They're 16 and 34, and that change just happened the 15th of June. It's in the NOTAMs.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Kerry. Let's see that come through. Not
Make
yet.
sure I sent it to the
Okay.
right email.
You did. It rang on my watch, so I know it's
Okay.
it's in there somewhere.
So not saying you have to go through them in detail, but if you wanted to just pop them up and show people what we're talking about, but it's fine if you don't.
Okay, I'll get it in a minute. Okay, so we did have a placeholder in here for Amazon drone 135 drone operations. We may get that on the next meeting. I just wanted to kind of let us know what's going on in the drone space in and around the Phoenix area, specifically with what Amazon is doing and their 135 operations.
Is there anyone here in the meeting that is involved with that in any manner that could speak to it? We have a guy, we have a contact, and he was hoping to make this meeting. I am looking forward to getting briefed on what it is going on. I've happened to cross paths with a couple pilots just in the last month that have been hired to work with Amazon for drone operations out of Glendale. And I've seen the NOTAMs. That's about all I know so far. But if you're an Amazon customer, you probably know today's the first day of Prime Day. They're doing it for 4 days this week. So our guy Carlos is a little extra busy.
Yeah. Well, somebody's getting something delivered by drone somewhere. So, and that's just going to get more and more pervasive going forward. So,
if he doesn't make it to this meeting, everyone please watch the Facebook group for updates as we get information that's important for everyone.
Maybe because he's got such a kind of a crazy schedule, maybe Jim, you or I could do just a little a Zoom video and record it.
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah, if he doesn't make it here before we're done, I could take that on. That'd be good.
Okay. Yeah, then he can give his whole informational thing and not be time constrained. We talked about this ad nauseum, the Stansfield stack procedures, what we mentioned a little bit earlier. This is a carryover from last meeting, carryover from meetings previous, and generations previous. So we just want to make sure that everyone is operating with the current procedures and not some hand-me-down version, telephone version of the procedures that may or may not be accurate or consistent. We got an update that's from Carrie that there seems to be some improvement in the no maneuver zone that's between Scottsdale and Carefree Sky Ranch. There are still some aircraft that do it out of Scottsdale primarily. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, it is basically here coming out of Scottsdale and up to Carefree.
We're still
This
seeing
is,
your agenda.
oh, that's interesting. I thought Google Earth came up again. Okay, stand by.
And or if you want to just go to the AFTW webpage, we've got the PDF there too, whatever's easiest.
Okay. Where'd it go? Here. Okay, here we go. Okay. So basically the line that goes between Scottsdale and Carefree Sky Ranch, the Tracon highly advises us to not do any flight training or maneuvering in a area that is from this line 3 miles east or west, because this is an approach corridor for biz jets. And if you're out here maneuvering, doing steep spirals and power on, power off stalls, things like this, it triggers a lot of TCAS warnings in the incoming business jets. So just if you're out of Scottsdale, make sure that you head over to the Northeast practice area, Northwest practice area, and try not to do any training or maneuvering in this 6 mile wide corridor between Scottsdale and Carefree. So apparently that situation is improving, so that's good to know. All right, let's go back to this. Okay. Brent, I carried this over from the previous meeting also. We did talk about it. So, and I don't know if this situation has improved or gotten worse. Can you give us an update on this? Is basically what Brent is saying here is don't include the stack in your IFR flight plan if you're doing IFR training with your students, because it creates a real problem with Albuquerque approach. They'll dump you off, and you don't want to be dumped off if you're doing an IFR flight plan. So that's kind of what Brent is saying here. Any update to
Basically,
that?
just the mix of VFR and IFR traffic doesn't paint a pretty picture. So if you have the option, file IFR through Marana or to Ryan would be, a good place. There's obviously operational restrictions that crews may be finding themselves needing to try and get in the Casa Grande. And this wouldn't be a problem if it was an IMC day, but on a VMC day, you want to try and avoid filing IFR to Casa Grande. Otherwise, ATC will dump you, numerous targets below 5,000 feet, radar services, or you're clear for the approach, and then you get dumped into the stack at an altitude you're supposed to hold, and you find that you're entering the stack, with a bunch of other aircraft, and it can be quite scary. So this is something that both the IFR crews that are filing this need to be aware of, but also the crews that are in the stack need to be aware of at any moment. As typical in the stack, you need to be aware that other non-participatory traffic could invade the stack at any moment. So keeping your eyes on a swivel is important. But I haven't seen any safety reports come through our office in the recent months since our last meeting when we discussed this. So that's a good sign. But yeah, so it's just more of a note. And we did check our written documentation last time to make sure that it does state that this is a hazard. And so I believe that is correctly stated in the procedures for the stack. So I think that's
Great. Thanks, Brent. Carrie?
And along with that, we always, it's been maybe about 3 or 4 in the last year where instructors have filed IFR down to the stack, and then they mix VFR procedures in with what they're familiar with, and they end up getting a Brasher pilot deviation because they're not following air traffic control instructions. So as Brent was saying, IFR day, keep it IFR. When it's VFR, keep it VFR.
Right. Jim?
Just a guess, but thinking more about this, and I don't remember talking about this in our previous discussions. I think there's a training opportunity here. I'm assuming, or I'm guessing, that maybe some instrument pilots and even their instructors are not realizing that radar service terminated does not equal canceling IFR. Going into a non-towered airport, having ATC tell you radar service terminated is a very normal thing to expect. Even though radar services are terminated, that aircraft is still IFR and must still follow whatever they were cleared for under IFR. And the main reason we're imploring the flight training, the operators to not use this as one of the required destinations on the instrument cross-country flight that's required for Part 61 and 141 is because those regs very clearly say that that flight is conducted under IFR. And that flight includes those required approaches. So it's very clear in the regulations that if someone cancels IFR before doing one of those required approaches, they technically have not met the requirements that the FAA has set forth. So it's important to stay IFR until the wheels touch the ground, or you go missed approach. And it's important to understand that just because radar service were terminated, you are still IFR. So just avoid Casa Grande when you're doing the real IFR stuff. But like Brent said, there's still going to be operators there. I've seen Challenger jets there, other operators that aren't, it's not even related to flight training. They're still going to come and go IFR. So keep our eyes and ears open.
I can envision an entire hour of the flight training safety day dedicated to the stack and all of and Coolidge and all of that. So that won't be surprising to see that on the agenda for this, because definitely needs to keep getting the word out regularly and continuously. So we touched on this a little bit. So current projects that we need help with. So for those of you that are on the meeting that have a little bit of time that you'd like to help with some of these items that need addressing, we talked about the Flight School Safety Summit, and Brett already mentioned what he needs some help with there. Really just getting the word out is the biggest thing. So we'll continue to monitor that, and if anything else he needs help with between now and then, you'll probably see something on our Facebook page about that. So and that just talks about the stuff that we had on that he sent me previously on the safety summit. So this can be, I'll fix these in the minutes, the dates and stuff from the previous stuff that we talked about earlier. Let's see. The recommended procedures for practice instrument approaches in the Phoenix area. There's been some people that have helped or volunteered to help with this project. Jim, can you give us an update on if we're making any kind of progress on getting this document
A little
updated?
bit, not a lot. We'd still love to have a couple people. I mean, experienced instructors are great, but you don't need to be a flight instructor. Just need to be familiar with practice instrument approaches around Phoenix. Particular, we're looking for someone in the East Valley. I did have someone reach out to me, and I gave him access to the document at a quick glance. I'm not sure he had time to do much. That was shortly after our last meeting 2 months ago. But we're always looking for volunteers to help. So my email's right there in the minutes. Please reach out if you have some bandwidth available. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. And there's Jim's email address if you need that to contact him on that. We talked about the initiative to get more representation, flight school representation at these meetings. That goes again back to this document right here that you can get. Did my screen switch over, Jim?
Yeah, but not that one. The next one over. The to your right, the points of
Oh.
contact spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah. Um, for the points of contact. Okay. Um, to get the word out to the various
I
flight
think that's the one
schools.
you were talking about. Yeah, go back to the
Well,
agenda. Was it?
yeah.
Maybe I wasn't watching. Yeah, points of contact.
Okay.
Just to make sure we fill out that sheet, and our goal is really to have at least one person. You know, like Tyler wasn't able to come, so he got was it Mr. Fox. Sorry, I forgot your first name. Richard, was it? You know, to represent his flight school. Like please do that. You know, have some at least one person from each flight school here to be part of the live meeting is really what our goal is. So thank you for those of you that are doing that.
Yep. A couple of other comments. We've had some, unfortunately, some fatal events recently. This first one was right here out of Ryan. And the CFI that was involved in that incident was new to Ryan, but not new to the area. He's out of Nogales before coming to Ryan, so he had a fairly extensive familiarity with the area and with Arizona flight training. So I don't have any preliminary information on what happened there. We can't even really armchair speculate because there's no there's no flight tracking on it, and so anyway, it's just really
What do we
unfortunate.
know as far as type of plane or anything, or when did it
Well,
happen?
it was a Cessna 152 Aerobat. I know that because I saw it at the field all the time. Very nice plane, and the other student was actually the owner of the plane. Uh, so I think he was, I don't know if he was working on any like basic aerobatics or, what the flight actually involved. But the aircraft was aerobatic capable. And but they just went out for a flight, and the next thing I know, people are asking around if the airport, if anyone had seen them. And it took a couple of days or at least more than 24 hours to locate them because they went down in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
So it was kind of hard and to find them and stressful for people at the airport and that sort of thing. So whether it has anything to do with summertime flying and density altitude or heat related or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's always a good reminder to think about the heat that's involved. I was up at Flagstaff over the weekend. The density altitude was 10,000 feet at the airport. So, and even at Sedona, the density altitude was about 9,000 feet. So, we need to really make sure that we're paying attention to density altitude, to hydration, to, all of that summertime flying stuff in Arizona. Carrie?
Yeah, Rich Lee, who's, if you're not familiar with Rich, was a test pilot for McDonnell Douglas and Boeing helicopters. And he recently sent me a text saying that one of the things to include in the ASAG meeting is with these hot temperatures, your pilot handbook or your aircraft handbook may not have the temperatures that we're going to be experiencing here. So double check your airplane flying handbook and make sure that your tables and charts include the temperatures that we're operating in. I think he said a lot of them don't go above 50 degrees C. So let's hope we don't get above 50 degrees C, but just something else to be aware of here in the desert.
Yep. Good point. All right. Any other questions, comments, anything related to the meeting topics at hand? Raise your hand and we can address those. We're this 5 o'clock is not a hard deadline, but we do want to respect everyone's time and make sure that we get everything covered and don't dilly-dally. Carrie?
Yeah, Lee Unger brought this up, but I think at our last ASAG meeting that the chart users guide is being discontinued, I believe in August. So that's a very valuable document, and there's a lot of great information in there about all the icons and everything that's out there on our sectionals and our charts. So maybe while it's still available, you take the opportunity and download it so you have it there as a PDF. And then the other thing, I was just on the pilot's record database a couple days ago, and the FAA is changing the authentication process for the pilot record. So if you're a commercial or a CFI or ATP pilot and you want your records available, make sure you go on there and you update the authentication process.
Good point, Jim.
So Jason Miller had a discussion on one of his meetings about the user guide going away, and there's a lot of questions. Do we know, Carrie, are they actually going to remove it from the FA website, or is it just that updates are being suspended? Have they clarified what the plan is moving forward?
Well, if you go to the user's guide, it says it will be eliminated and will no longer be published. So,
And there's no information about where that information is going to go?
yeah, there's so much information out there. I can't believe it's not going to be someplace.
Right.
But
interesting.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I actually just ordered several of those hard copies so that I've got them for my future students my students that I will have in the future. So
leave it in the
maybe
shrink wrap. It might be worth something someday.
goes along with my Beanie Babies from the 90s, right? Okay. Anyone else? All right. Well, with that, then I will go ahead and stop the recording on the meeting. And
Thank you, Brian. Great job
Yep.
as always.